Hey there, and welcome to this week's episode of Storytime. I'm running really late on recording this, so I'll just have to make a quick episode. I'm going to tell you the story about how I almost died 3 times in my life. There were a couple of more times I almost died, but for once they're too personal, and the other times they just had to do with some black ops operations I had to do for the American government. You guys have to figure out which one of those two reasons is true. So yeah, let's get started with the 3 times I almost died. The last time I almost died, I was riding a bicycle. I was maybe 18 or 19. So had to ride to school with my bicycle, and there was this designated bicycle road, and I took that every day. But I was pretty early, so I had to ride maybe about 5 a.m. in the morning, something like that. It was just horrible, horrible time to ride a bicycle. So yeah, I was just riding like always. Everything was fine, and all of a sudden, I just fell off the bicycle. I had no idea why. I didn't lose my balance or something like that. I just fell off the bicycle. I have no idea why at that moment. And luckily for me, my face just, stopped the fall. It was horrible, Of course, it wasn't lucky. I just hit the street with my face. It was just... oh my god. And I was knocked out cold. So when I got back to my senses, I just thought, okay, there had maybe 1 or 2 seconds had passed or something like that, but no, I think it was almost half an hour, and there were already people standing around me, and they were looking at me with this horrible look in their eyes. They were looking at me like, I don't know, like I was already dead or something like that, but I just couldn't understand it. I just had a massive headache. It was just my head. It was horrible, but I didn't feel any kind of pain other than that. It wasn't like my body was in pain anywhere else. It was just my head was hurting a little bit, a little hell bit. But yeah, I tried to get up, but I couldn't. My body wouldn't obey my commands. It was just, I couldn't get up. And one of the persons there, he just got on the ground to me and just said, okay, don't try to get up, please stay on the ground. You're hurt pretty bad, just don't stand up. And they already called an ambulance, and the ambulance took a pretty long time to get there, but yeah. So, yeah, the ambulance came and they brought me to a hospital, and once I arrived in the hospital, I could look into a mirror. I was lying around there, and there was a mirror on the left side of me, and I saw that my face was covered in blood. It was blood all over. It was horrible. It looked like, I don't know, it just looked like my whole head was cracked open and there was leaking blood from everywhere. It was just a horrible sight. It was so, oh my god. So yeah, there was blood all over me, but the actual wounds weren't that bad. It was just, deep scratches, if you want to put it like that. It wasn't that bad, and I had a really serious concussion, and of course they couldn't rule out internal bleedings in my brain, so I had to stay in the hospital for 24 hours just to make sure that I didn't have an aneurysm or something like that. And yeah, and I wasn't allowed to sleep at that time. It was horrible. I had this huge headache, and of course they couldn't get me some kind of pain medicine because they were afraid that it would actually alter my blood, or I don't know, that it would just, it would be bad, so they couldn't give me any kind of pain medicine, and I wasn't allowed to sleep, so pain medicine was off the table too. So yeah, I was just lying around there with this huge headache, and I wasn't allowed to sleep. It was just one of the most horrible nights in my life. It was just, oh my god. So the next day I was allowed to go home, and I felt shitty for maybe 4 weeks or something like that, and it took forever for the wounds in my face to heal. I don't have scars or anything of that, but it just took forever, and people were always looking at me like I was a monster. It was kind of weird, but what can you do? So the second time I almost died was actually the first time I almost died. So I was about maybe 4, 5, or 6. I can't remember it. My brain is blocking the memory, because I was pretty young and it was pretty, horrible for me. And I said horrible a lot of times, but yeah. So the first time I almost died was when my parents tried to teach me how to swim. They didn't get me into the water and just said, okay, just paddle with your arms and legs and everything will be fine. No, I was standing at that lake, and my father just took me and he threw me into that lake. And yeah, I didn't have the natural instinct to do anything about it, so I just sank to the ground like a stone. It was horrible. And the moment I hit the water, I tried to breathe, and that was the worst thing I could do. So I breathed in so much water, and of course that's a very bad thing. So I drowned within maybe 30 seconds, and I really drowned. When there was this guy that was patrolling the lake, he jumped in and he pulled me out. He pulled me on the beach, and yeah, of course he did all those first aid stuff, and he brought me back to life, but I was probably dead for 2 or 3, I don't know, 5, 10 minutes, I have no idea, but I was dead for a couple of minutes, and it was a pretty close call. The doctors told my parents after that it was a very close call, and yeah, that was the first time I almost died. It was horrible. Oh, I forgot something about the bicycle story. As it turned out later, the reason I fell off the bicycle was that someone had put a wire on that road. They used that wire from one tree to a tree on the other side of the road because they were drunk, some drunken teenagers and stuff like that. I don't know. They just wanted people to trip over it. And when my bicycle hit that wire, the wire was ripped off one of the trees and it wrapped around the wire, and I fell off my bicycle because of course the front wheel didn't work anymore. So that was the reason. So I'm sorry I forgot about that. So, okay, yeah, now we got this 2 times I almost died. And for the last time I almost died, that was actually I think it's called kissing disease or kiss disease, I have no idea. So the German word for it is totally horrible, because in the German word is the name of the guy that actually found the disease, and that guy had a horrible name, but yeah, so kissing disease. I got that when I was about 12 or 13, after I had my first time, my first time, if you know what I mean. I got that from the girl there, and of course that I didn't blame her for anything. But the thing was, in my family they have this, how do I put that? There is this mindset that you don't show your weakness. You don't do that. If you feel sick or something like that, just bear with it. Just fucking deal with it at your own. You just do that. If you are dying, just pull yourself up. That's just the thing. My family doesn't allow weaknesses. So yeah, of course I was a little kid and I was feeling very, very sick. And I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 weeks into the sickness, it just was worse and worse. My body just couldn't handle that kind of disease. It was just horrible. And there was this one evening, not evening, it was a late midday or something like that, I remember that, and I was just feeling like total crap, and I was at a friend's house, and I just remember I looked into a mirror and my whole body was gray. There was a total lack of color. I didn't have skin color anymore. I was just totally gray. My eyes were burning red, and I was sweating, a cold sweat, and that's the worst kind of sweat. And I just fell into oblivion. I was knocked out. So when I came back to me, I was in the hospital again. So I was in the hospital, and I had about, I think, 42 degree of fever, so in Celsius, and if you don't know that, 43 degree and you're dead. So yeah, 42 degree of fever, and it was so close, and that was a big struggle, and I think I was in the hospital for maybe 6 weeks, and I was on the verge of death all the time because the fever just wouldn't go down, and I couldn't eat, I couldn't drink properly. It was just a horrible, horrible experience, and yeah, I was on the verge of death all the time. So that was the 3rd time I almost died. Horrible experience, if you ask me. So yeah. That was kind of a hard topic to talk about. I hope you enjoyed it, and I actually wanted to do a 5-minute episode because I will have to upload this now. It's Saturday already. I didn't have time to record it yesterday. So this is gonna take a really, really long time. Maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 hours. I have no idea. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. If you had any kind of this experience, just leave it in the comment section below. And of course, as always, rate the video. It's very appreciated, and it's just helping out my channel grow. And you guys already made this channel grow into a 500+ subscriber channel. That's just awesome. And oh my god, I can't tell you how much I appreciate the support. It's just, oh god, I want to do this for a living. This would be so freaking awesome. So yeah, as I said, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, let me know with a comment in the comment section below. And subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. If you are listening to this, you should subscribe to the channel because, you know, all my videos are like this, so they are probably worth it. And that was it for this week's episode of Storytime. Next week there will be another episode, of course. So yeah, that was it. I'm Lost Link, signing out.